Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to today's podcast about the topic of motivation at work. Today, we've met to discuss motivation. We're going to talk about how a good manager should motivate people in their team, how they should take care of the team so that they have enough motivation to work well, how people who are motivated or demotivated behave at work. That's what today's podcast is about. Pavel, would you like to start by saying a few words about why we're doing these podcasts? Please, the floor is yours, Pavel.
Hello, hi, how are you doing?
Hello.
I'm happy to be here with you today. We do these podcasts for the benefit of young people to pass on know-how, as I said before, not only to my own kids, but to all young people interested in learning. Today we're going to talk about motivation. People often ask me about motivation. It's such an important and wide-ranging topic. In reality, they ask two things: how to motivate their subordinates, their team, their people, and how to find motivation to go to work. Let me ask if you have the same questions or if you see motivation differently. What exactly will we talk about?
We have two similar questions, of course. I have no idea where it will go, but these two questions are the foundation of today's conversation. I'll explain the situation. I've been working for 2 years. I enjoyed it for 2 years. Then suddenly there were various changes in the job. Something started to change. The behavior of people changed. Superiors changed and so on. And all of a sudden, the job annoys me in an incredible way. I don't enjoy going there or doing the work. The people are starting to bother me with what they do, with all their changes and activities and so on. And so I don't know what to do about all this. The company is actually fine. I've been there for 2 years, but I'm getting bored of the job. They made a mistake somewhere, or maybe I made a mistake.
I understand. And for you?
I want to learn something about motivation in general. Honestly, it's like you said before. I would like to know how someone can motivate me even to get up and go to work every day because I don't enjoy it.
I have a surprise for you. No one has to motivate you at all.
You mean that?
Yeah, it's your problem.
That's good to know.
Many people think that a superior should motivate their subordinates. And how is that done? Do they have some kind of valve to plug in a motivation, pump it into them? It's not like that. People have their own motivation. The first question is why they go to work. Probably most people go there for money. If you have enough money and don't need it, you don't have to go. Or you go there for much better reasons. Because of the team, because it's fun, your friends are there. Or for the work, you like the smell of sand and concrete. You love being there. Or you can create something, maybe you're in a position where you can influence something. Those reasons are all different. And it's always about your own motivation. You decided to go to work, and it was your decision to go to this particular company. You decided to produce stoves, for example. Some unfortunate people have to go to work and don't want to. They work for the money and are in a tight situation. They only have one business near their home. They have to choose it and do the job. Previous generations often lived in systems with very limited personal choice. It's like this for many people. It's hard to get advice from there. You see, they have to forward. They usually do it for money, so they at least try to turn it into something positive and find something nice about it. Usually there are great people in these workplaces. These people usually realize that they're facing this situation together, do it in good humor. They make fun of each other and make fun of everything. It's a kind of bitter humor they're using, but they help each other survive in this way. Many years ago, my aunt used to work in a factory. Her job was to make some bolts, nuts, screws, and things like that. She made screws there for around 40 years. It wasn't a stimulating job. I used to go there for summer jobs, and I loved it because there was a great atmosphere there. When the team fell apart, I was really sad. She said she only went there for 40 years because of the people, and I understand her. It was like a summer camp. They always made fun of each other. It was hilarious. Outstanding people. If you work in a company but don't enjoy it, you're an adult, just leave. I don't understand one thing. This is not a system where people are forced to stay, but a lot of people stay in one company and complain. I tell them, sit down, write down what's good and bad on paper. If you conclude that it's bad there, just go elsewhere, right? Unemployment is low. All companies are looking for people, so just go. Or decide to stay, then stop arguing and deal with how things are there. Every company has certain parameters. Some things are good there. Typical for corporate people, They're actually happy to work at a big company with a big brand, with a banking license, a high salary. They're in a beautiful building. They have nice toilets, a coffee machine, and so on. But they complain that the corporation is too strict and has tight rules for everything, that they can't be creative. And I always respond, a list of benefits, and one disadvantage is that it's rather strict. So put up with it. Or don't put up with it and go somewhere else. Find some cheerful company, maybe a startup, but it won't have a nice building, a brand, or a banking license. You won't have the security there, and you'll have to deal with it. Stop swearing. We swear about anything. It's very common behavior. Stop swearing about it and just deal with it. That's probably your case. The company decided to have this additional disadvantage. So come to terms with it or not. You're an adult.
It's actually just about my personal preferences, realizing what I enjoy, what I don't like doing, and what I actually want to do in my life.
Of course, that's it. Asking me as your boss to motivate you, why should I do it? I have my own problems with motivation. I'll motivate myself. There are certain things that can be done to improve it, but basically the people need to be motivated. As a boss, you mustn't take that motivation away from them. It happens sometimes. We managers often take away people's motivation, and we shouldn't do it. Very often we take away motivation by making a change. People don't like change because change is not effective. We like habits. We want the easy way. A change means slowing down. You're used to the steering wheel on the front left, but they put it in the back seat. 14 days later, they put it in the boot. After a few more weeks, you don't know where it is.
Look for it.
You need to drive but can't because there's no steering wheel.
Exactly.
I hate exactly that about IT. Today I learned about a fourth way to open Microsoft Teams. Why are there 4 ways? When did demonstrating activity start to mean shifting a button from left to right and sending everyone on a half-hour quest just to find it again? I really hate this. Problem is, the company can't go on without changes. You need changes because the market develops quickly. Look at what's happened in the last 30 years. Facebook, social networks, Google, now artificial intelligence. ESG is coming, digitalization, the world is changing incredibly fast. If you want your company to survive, it has to change. So the solution is not to avoid these changes. You have to make them, but you have to explain them to people.
So it seems to be more of an adaptation than a change.
Yep.
That's what we can call it.
Sure, because when
Or maybe it's an upgrade.
they don't explain it to you and so they make you angry. That happened to me. I get freaked out. I like that activity, but now it really annoys me.
It's best done with what's called format. Format is a very interesting technique that we were taught. It has 4 steps. Your boss should meet with you and talk for 5 minutes about why the change has to be made and why we can't go on without it. Why? The first word is why. The second word is what the change will be, what the change will look like at the end. The third is how we'll proceed step by step. The fourth is what if. I'll use the example of a CRM. Everybody hates CRMs, right? I should have told you guys, a CRM is coming. It will be used. It will happen. Why? Because we need to store data somewhere. We need to monitor where we're going. I know for many it'll seem like pointless work, entering and checking data. But today, no modern company can exist without using a CRM. Without a CRM, you don't have customer data or activity history. You have no business. That's why. For some people in the team, maybe 2 of them, if there are 10, the why is important. I'm a typical Mr. Why. Sell me your why and you've got me. But my partner doesn't care about why. She says, no, please, tell me what you want. I'll do it and go home. Then you have to say what it will look like in the end. So that people see when they will can relax. It'll be over when we have a CRM and you type up meetings, type deals in the pipeline each Friday and close it. It'll take you 5 minutes. You'll get used to it. It'll be like brushing your teeth with your left hand. You'll get used to it and then you'll have peace of mind. For some people, that's very important. Some will say, 5 minutes every week and that's it. Okay, yeah, sure. I can deal with that. It'll bother me for 6 weeks and then I'll get used to it. That's it. And the motivation is back. Here comes the third type. These are the guys who say, how will we do it? What will we do in the first week and the second week and the third and fourth? And you have to say, don't worry, we'll install it. Then there will be training. Later, we'll have a trial run. You'll enter data with our support. Someone will sit next to you. And when you're used to it, you'll get a manual and a video. And we'll check again in maybe 6 months. If everything's okay, we'll stop supporting it. It'll be established. Most importantly, we won't change it every week. And that calms down another type of person who has work in progress for 3 months, for example, and they need to organize it in their schedule. And then the last ones will ask, what if? Those are the objectives like you, but it worked here before without that. So you have to answer, right? I have a better CRM. Someone else says, I write things in my notepad. I like it. I don't want to use the computer. And another says, that's my personal secret data. I don't want to share it. I've heard that too. There'll be about 20 or 30 objections. You predict them in advance and prepare the answers. Then you devote about 2 hours to it and so on. And at the end of all this, you tell people that whatever their objection is, that's the way it's going to be. The company will have a CRM. Please deal with it. I'll help you as much as possible. And there is no way to fight it or try to stop it. It's here to stay. It'll be like accounting. It has to be like this. We're not happy either. Just like locking up buildings and keeping books, it's just there. It doesn't please anyone, but it has to be like this. A CRM is a must. That's the end of the discussion. And then at every meeting, you have to discuss these objections again and again, and answer again, and help and support. That actually gives you back the motivation that you brought in. We say that when there is a change, as a manager, you have to speak 10,000 words. True. I have to give an answer to your 40 objections in 2 months, and 60 answers to you, and 180 answers to that one. When you do the maths, you'll speak around 10,000 words. And only when you say them will people come to terms with it, overcome the change, and be okay again.
So it's okay when people are upset about a change?
Not really. I wouldn't say that it's okay. The manager has to do their job so nobody gets angry, so that the people help, so that they don't mind that much. Like when the country has a new law, what can you do about it? You just get used to it, and that's it. You just have to adapt. You're not going to emigrate after every stupid thing that people up there come up with. I just say, okay, the speed limit will be 50 in the village. It's okay. Now even 30 has been suggested. We'll see how that turns out. It's important for you and your manager to know that you can only start changes twice a year. Usually it's best after the summer holidays, and if necessary, also after Christmas. Change and leave people alone for half a year to calm down. If you introduce changes all the time, you'll crash the company. People need peace to work. You can't change things as you please. Especially not after a podcast or training session. That's even worse. You prepare, think it over, and send the package. And this is about motivation, I think. It can be communicated. It can also be learned as a technique. You can prepare, train for it, and improve. And you can get it under control. Every manager can learn it.
Okay, let's recap. We have why, what, how, and what if. You understand the fact that these people will be demotivated after a week, and you can motivate them again when you have some meetings. You go on for half a year until they get used to it, and it starts to work.
That's it.
That's very challenging.
It is. That's the way it is. You can give back motivation or not take it away.
And now let's imagine a situation where the manager doesn't explain things and support people at meetings. What happens next? The people will be more demotivated and leave. If the manager is not well prepared for the fact that the change will take half a year, that they have to speak around 10,000 words, they won't be constantly supporting and repeating the change at the meetings with their team.
Either the people get used to it or they eventually leave. If you communicate it well, maybe 1% will leave. If you do it poorly, 10% will. And 90% of people, mainly the experienced ones, will cope with it more easily because there have already been 58 changes. Sometimes you wait and think it'll pass. I won't do anything. Maybe we'll get through. None of us will do it. Maybe he'll get over it. There are different ways to how people approach it.
I know a lot of them.
I believe that. But being a manager means that if you decide to do something, you just do it, even if that meant difficult decisions. If it's really that important to you, and if you're not sure, don't do it. That's very important. Many people start it, try it, but then they flinch. Don't do that.
I understand.
You introduce it. You know the advantages and disadvantages. Prepare communication well, at the beginning, during the course, and at the end. If you do it well, people will be fine with it. It just has to be explained well.
But of course, you have to be a really good
manager to do it well. My boss was really great. And every time I was grumpy, just like you, right? I always thought my solution was absolutely amazing, and his was completely stupid. And he always came and drew me a circle. He said, look, that's your solution, Pavel. We'll have some great advantages with this new CRM software. You quickly write it down in your diary. You don't write it down anywhere else. You have a perfect overview. You do it your way. You run your business the same old way. It also has disadvantages, Pavel. The disadvantage is that no one can take it over from you. We can't share, we can't help you because we don't know what you're working on. You are right. We can't analyze data on how we take care of customers. I can't summarize it for all of our 20 salespeople, for example. We can't do that. And besides, our HQ wants it in all countries. It's standardized, an absolute standard in the sector. Plus, the tax office could ask us to prove how we look after our customers. Otherwise, it'll look like we're getting billed and maybe laundering money. We have to be able to prove we care about these clients. You really have to prove that you've actually spent the money to teach something. It's all written in the CRM. If you don't have it in the CRM, you can't prove the activity and you could be in big trouble with the tax authorities. I'd always sit there and say, well, I didn't even know that the tax office would have anything to do with this. For me, for example, the tax office is very important and the international standard to have the same in all countries. I have to take care of it. I'm very aware that if my solution works the other way around with the boss on this side and the advantages on the left, then you're absolutely right. It would still be inconvenient. You wouldn't be able to write things down straight away. It would be expensive. And on top of that, you'd have to get used to entering everything there. The system will fail sometimes. You're right. There will be disadvantages. And then he said the key thing, there'll never be a solution that only has advantages. There will be advantages and there will also be disadvantages. He always told us that the world is not black or white, it's gray, and he knew why. Someone has to put the effort in with you. He drew this circle and explained what the future would be like with and without a CRM. If they introduce it, the benefits really remain. You'll have a chance to accept that and understand the context. He's working with more levels, more context than you are. He maybe has 10 of those levels. He said, you're right, it won't be as comfortable as before, I agree. It's annoying. It will annoy me more because I'll have to check it after you. You might be fine with it, but I never will. At least one of. You 10 will mess it up, so I'll be angry every Friday. But I still need it.
I had absolutely no idea.
Of course.
That's interesting.
That's why it's necessary for people to sit down and discuss it. Some need it in a group meeting, some need it individually at lunch. You have to drag others out on a trip so they have 3 hours to chat. That's the art of a manager, to promote change.
And if you explain it like that, you won't really demotivate anyone.
No, you'll pull them in. You'll draw them into it, engage them. You might often say that you'd prefer not to do it either. They're surprised. You say, it's not my idea. I have to do it for some reasons. That's it. If we don't do it, a problem won't occur until next year, but it will be fatal. I need you to help me with it because we can't avoid it. It's a nuisance, Michael, a terrible nuisance.
The truth is that you open the door to your world for everyone to see.
Yes.
He looks at it and sees that the world is actually bigger than what's behind his little door.
But managers don't usually do this. Instead, we start pushing for it.
And that's bad?
Of course it is. Pressure is not motivation, not the right way. Sustained pressure increases stress, and prolonged stress leads to exhaustion. Some people today have a lower tolerance for long-term pressure, so they disengage sooner. Pressure isn't the way. On one hand, you have pressure, that's bad. On the other, communication, 10,000 words, that's good. You have to communicate, not push. Many managers have no time, they're stressed, they push quick, or you'll get a penalty, I'll take your bonus, take your money away, or replace you, boo-hoo, and they think how that's helpful.
They control with fear?
Of course. When you make a CFO the CEO, it's usually like that for the first 2 years before they realize that's not how people work at all. Maybe in the accounting department, but not elsewhere. You need to tell the whole story to these people. You need to explain everything to them, put in the time and the effort. Making a change, man, is like deciding to replant a big tree. Otherwise, it would die. You have to dig up the roots and carry it very carefully. You have to plant it and then fertilize and water it. Take care of it for a long time so it roots well. Everyone who has done it knows it's no fun at all. I moved to Red Beach or something, and I've been working on it for half a year. It's the same thing. Give the people time, speak these words, give them the context, then they won't fight. People are okay, but often neglected. We just fail to explain things to them. We say, that's the way it is. I'm the big boss. I'll keep your paycheck. I'll show you. That gets you nowhere because you're insulting those people.
That's true.
People are smart enough to understand a change. People are smart. That's fine. Just work with them. I often say during explanations that I also took into consideration the option of not using a CRM. Advantages and disadvantages. I considered putting it down to Google. Again, advantages and disadvantages. You propose a solution to the manager, but then you see he's already thought it through. That's why I chose this solution in the end, because it has the least disadvantages. And if he doesn't say it, you'll think that he chose the stupidest option. It's about communication. Back to communication. Motivation equals communication.
Pavel, where does a manager get the motivation to be there for their people and have some extra energy for them, to explain it all to them?
I just tell myself that I want to do it, so I do it. I do it well, or I just quit. Then I don't know, some manual job. A lot of people have quit because they were fed up. No more energy, no appetite.
They're burnt out.
It can happen, right? Or they want to try something. Manual work is nice. A clear head and happy at the end of the day.
Getting away from what we were talking about from this situation, can people be motivated by money?
Yes, of course. There are 100 motivational factors. Some people work for money. Usually people work for money until a certain level. Then it doesn't motivate them anymore. My cousin in Olomouc says 40,000 is her dream salary. She earns 40,000, so they offered 80. She said no. I won't want to work more. 40 is enough for me. I wouldn't have anything to buy anyway. Many people think like that. They say, I work up to my salary.
I'm on a completely different level.
Yes, of course. Often people work up to a salary and it doesn't make any sense to add to it. They won't work any harder.
Because they won't do more work for the extra money they might get.
But there are people who'll do more work for the money. We also have entrepreneurs. An entrepreneurial employee is a person who thinks, I earn 40, that's good, and now I'm going to save energy. I'll try to optimize things and do as little as possible. Try to stay under the radar. They try it as much as possible. There's a lot of them. Many people work because they need the money. They don't want to work, quite frankly. Chase, push, guard. No communication will help here. They know exactly what they're doing, and you know it too. It's a struggle. You'll see this in production plants, and that's where performance bonuses work.
Is there any technique that can regularly motivate all kinds of employees, all sorts of subordinates like salespeople or accountants?
You have to do several things. You explain the strategies to them, where the company is going, what it will do, what will change. You have to keep telling them. That's very important. What the vision of the company is, what it will look like in 2030, what the values of the company are, what the strategy is. They'll tell you they don't care. But they do care. If you don't, they'll be upset and they won't know why. If you do, they'll say it's useless nonsense. That's typical, but they need to hear it. Secondly, you always have to try your best to make their work easier. You have to set the work up so that it comes easily and it's efficient. The processes have to be automated, so it's smooth sailing. Nobody likes to run into unnecessary obstacles. When they have to submit a trip report, just one. Click, and the process has to work reliably. You have to create the rails on which the trains run. And we have an adjustment system, the triangle and the square. You have to set goals that will earn them a bonus. You have to tell them what the bonus will be. And you need some reporting, so you know if they're performing. And then you have to meet with them once in a while, do a one-to-one. That's very motivating. You have to have a meeting with them, kind of a mass. Seriously, yes. Then there are the evaluation interviews where you award them their bonus and tell them how to improve. You go to joint meetings together to see how they work in the field. At first glance, these things don't seem to have anything to do with motivation. It's the opposite, a catch-all system so that people don't get demotivated and you don't have to deal with it. Do these 7 things, it'll run smoothly and you won't have problems. Because when you meet individually, you can discuss problems, changes, everything with them. In meetings, you keep going back and forth. These are times when you can say 10,000 words. Try not doing it for 6 months and see what happens. And then you'll call us saying you need coaching for motivation. I always think of the motivation pump again. This is our most common assignment. We always first ask about a management system and find out they don't have one. That's what I told you in the course. Make one.
And do they want to motivate themselves, or do they want to learn how to motivate their people?
Motivate their people. Motivate their people.
When you have 3 different generations in your team, X, Y, Z, you'll have a big problem finding motivation for them because each generation is a bit different and quite individual.
Generations are really different because, for example, my generation, I'm Generation X. That's people, let's say 50 plus. We work on an axis of things that are needed or not needed. It needs to be done, we'll do it. Or no need, don't do it. We have a strong sense of duty. Generation Y, my daughter, her axis is I enjoy or I don't enjoy. I enjoy this, I'll do this. I don't enjoy it, I won't do it. And Generation Z, that's my son, for example, around 25 years old. They have an axis. I'm afraid or I'm not afraid. They don't go anywhere. They feel pressure or are afraid. Not afraid, they go. They think about completely different things. You have to work with it.
That means if you're the boss and you work with employees from Generation Z and you're creating pressure, everyone will run away from you.
Well, if you put the same pressure on X, then X will laugh. Y will say they don't enjoy it, but they'll do something about it. Younger employees disengage quickly and choose to leave. You won't have time to give them their briefcase. The differences are huge. You have to treat them differently. Generation Z needs talking to, and you give them little tasks so they gradually gain confidence, so they can handle this, and finally also this. And then they grow. They're very clever. I know successful teams where they only have Z people. They sell also over the phone. It's not true that they don't want to work. They want to work. But someone has to say how.
That's me.
And the manager has to pay attention to them, spend a lot of time with them every day, not just once a month. It's also important to talk with Generation Y. Enjoy or not enjoy means why. They need to know why. For them, the why is important. Maybe they help protect nature or help society. They don't just have economic goals. We had that. They have other goals, qualitative goals as well. Then you have to build your argument on that qualitative level.
Kind of greater, a good.
Maybe the greater good. Yes, yes.
Interesting.
Sure. With us, it's enough to say that if we meet the turnover goal, we'll get bonuses. Not for Gen Y. There you have to say that by selling the medicine, you'll cure some people and save their lives. It's completely different. It's sales, so you have to know what arguments to use and what works for who. By doing it, you give them energy, meaning and motivation.
For Generation Z, it will be difficult to learn how to sell because it means working under pressure.
No need for pressure. It's how you set it up in your mind. If you set it up so that it's I sell or get fired, it's high pressure, and that would break us as well. If you set it up so that you're selling pharmaceuticals and you're in charge of like 100 doctors and there are patients behind them, and you go to save these patients. I have a friend, and he was the general manager of an amazing pharmaceutical company that sold a drug called Corosurf. It's a drug for premature babies. They can't breathe when they're born prematurely, and this medicine allows them to breathe. I hope it's correct to say it like this. There was an amazing time when they received a postcard for Christmas, and on one half of the postcard, there was a little baby in the palm of a hand, so tiny someone was holding her, about 15 centimeters, and on the other half was a picture of her going to school with a school bag. In that photo, you see the purpose of their work. If he hadn't sold the Corsair to the maternity hospital, she wouldn't be here. You realize that it's a good job. You see it differently.
Different communication.
A manager must be able to do this, to really find the higher meaning of the work. If it weren't for salespeople, we wouldn't have vacuum cleaners today. They sold us everything, overcame objections, people's conservative approach. For everything new that came into the world, there were salespeople. They're the only carriers of progress, and so is marketing. In fact, they teach people about all the new inventions and things. That's a really important job. When you realize this, you'll enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, you'll get good turnover. People will recognize that you enjoy it and start making you money. Yes? Just set it up like this. Turnover isn't important. It always comes along somehow. If you do the job well, if you take it from the other side, that's also motivation. Explain it like this and they'll look at it differently.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, right.
If someone told me,
We're talking about communication again.
if someone had told me this, I would have looked at the job differently.
You know, it's a lot about communication, but it's also about behavior. You have to treat people well. You have to show respect. Don't take away their dignity, because you're no boss at all. I really like Mr. Bean, Rowan Atkinson, eh? When he said that when people meet him on the street, they say to him, "You're Mr. Bean," and he always answers them, "Oh no, I'm the actor Rowan Atkinson." who plays Mr. Bean. I'm no boss. I'm currently in the position of the boss, in the role of the boss, in the position of a superior. Germans explained it to me beautifully. You Czechs are stupid with your class struggle. Germans see it as a life cycle. A product has a life cycle. A person also has a life cycle. First, you're a baby. You need a nurse and a doctor. Then you go to kindergarten. You need a teacher. Then you go to school, another teacher and an after-school counselor. Then you go to high school, to college, and then you go to work. You need a job where there's a young team. You're an employee. Then you're a manager. You lead other people. Then you're a consultant, then you go into retirement, you need medicine from pharmacies again, and then you go to a retirement home and so on. But you as a human need all these different people along the way. A boss is no more important than a kindergarten teacher. You need a teacher at 3 and a boss at 28. One day you'll be a boss and another day you won't be a boss. You're only playing a role. You should behave accordingly. You come and you go. You're there for a while. People recognize it in you. They can tell by your body language. They can tell by your words, by your behavior, by your attitude. When you start lying to them or trying to manipulate them, pushing them or not caring about them, they'll know immediately. No one wants to be humiliated because you're the boss right now. No one. Treat people nicely, but not so softly so that they play games with you. Keep them in check like a parent. You can't let your children jump on your head. It's the same. You have to talk to people and keep them within some boundaries. And they, I've already said this here, have to feel that they'll be more successful with you than without you. People choose a partner and they choose a boss. Very often the boss leaves the company and their team as well. I've seen that many times. They don't care about the company. They work for Karel. They pack up and go with him because Karel can do it, because I can make money with him and pay the mortgage, and the family will be fine. Karel brings success. He knows how to deal with me. That's how it is. That's motivation. Motivation of other people. There's a lot you as the boss can do for that.
That's motivation from the point of view and position of the manager. But then again, HR can also motivate people in various ways. For example, by saying that you have flexible working hours and that you'll get a starting bonus, you can go on a presentation course and many other things. That's another type of motivation if I understand correctly.
There are about 100 factors and you have to get it right. When you cook a meal, you have lots of ingredients. You pick 5 for a stew and 7 for a soup, so it's the same with motivation.
Various combinations.
Always different combinations. I won't go into detail here, it'll take long, but when the chapter on motivation is recorded on video, I'll show those factors there. Maslow, Hertzberg, health factors, motivational factors, that's what they're called professionally. There's a lot of them. Yuck. Buy the book. You'll find it there.
And how can I motivate myself? We talked about this at the beginning, that a manager shouldn't motivate you to go to work.
They can channel your motivation, nothing more.
Is there a tool to motivate ourselves? Often we don't feel like working. You don't feel like it either.
I hardly ever feel like it.
Do you have a standard technique or a kind of tool for it? How do you succeed in motivating yourself?
I have a sense of discipline, I just force myself. I never want to exercise when I go there. I feel great after exercising. Whether it's playing tennis or cycling, I know it's going to end well, so I push myself out of the house, like stepping away from yourself. Off you go. And at work, I know I need to do 10 things. I go and do them. I don't mess about, digging into your feelings too much sucks too. You need to step back a bit, go do those things, and you'll have the afternoon off. Come on. That's the simplest thing.
Pavel, I'd like to know, how can I know or how can I understand if someone is motivating me, and how can I recognize a negative person, someone who is actually trying to bring me down?
You've been to a music concert somewhere, I don't know. A rock band, haven't you?
Not recently, but yes.
When you enjoy the music, what does it do to you?
I feel fascinated and active.
And when it's annoying, when it's a stupid concert,
Then I'm probably angry, or maybe I'm sad.
it's the same.
Hard to recognize.
A manager is actually like a band. They can lift you up. Chemistry, endorphins, I don't know what, just everything. Or they make you feel terrible, you're depressed, stressed, your stomach hurts. It's the same.
What if they inspire me, but to do stupid things, and these actions drag me down later, cause me problems? That's manipulation. You mean a kind of manipulation? Is motivation a kind of manipulation, or can it be?
No, it's not. For some people, Manipulation is hidden aggression, hidden aggressive behavior.
Always?
Always. Like if a person has a knife and forces you to do something you don't want to do, you think it'd be stupid not to, but you know perfectly well you don't want to. That's how you know. It's a contradiction. You feel weird. It helps if you discuss it with someone, they'll reveal it quickly. There's a kayaking trip and I don't feel like going. A friend reminds you that you said you wouldn't go kayaking. What do you think you're doing? My girlfriend wants me to go, and you already know. If you don't go kayaking, you don't love me. Typical manipulation. If you don't raise my salary, I'll go. It's up to you.
No lucky charms in your pocket will help. No incantations will help.
Learn what manipulation is, then you recognize it very quickly. Many people use it. It's called a passive aggressive behavior, hidden aggressive behavior, very aggressive, very often used. It doesn't work. People see through it and then they hate you for manipulating them. They'll give you a hard time. You're finished. The department stops working and nobody knows why. Some people do what's called a silent resignation, stay for money, but they don't care about the job. It's called a silent resignation. It's the result of manipulation, pressure, lying. Often people lie to their subordinates. These are bad techniques. They figure it out. You have to be authentic so that people follow you.
Super. And now let's move on to this. How not to demotivate these people at work. If you give them a low salary, you create a problem for them. If you give them 25,000 when they start, you're causing them a problem.
This is all individual. Everyone is motivated differently. Also, if a person stays for 10 years, different things motivate them in the first 3 months. First year, third year, 8th year. You have to work on it, keep changing it. It's just a full-time job.
Does motivation of people develop over time?
A lot.
Does that mean that once a year when you have an individual assessment interview with them, you have to find out their current level of motivation and then set it up for the next year?
According to statistics, in the first 6 months, the most important motivator for you is your relationship with your boss because it's crucial. Within 2 years, it's your own success. After 2 years, it's the contents of your work. Again, this doesn't apply across the board. Some people are cynical, just give me the money and goodbye. There are people who care about the meaning of their work. Then they have kids and they completely change. You have to be careful about it and keep watching what motivates them and change your behavior, systems, and so on. I have a colleague who always works perfectly well. Then the start of the school year comes and it's like she disappears for 2 months. It's because she's struggling at home with the kids. She's out. You have to grab her and shake her maybe 10 times before she wakes up. It's September, October. Start doing something. It is communication, but completely different. Then she's okay again for 5 months and it falls apart again. You don't even have to tell some people they are perfect. But then something might happen in their family, for example. And their motivation goes to hell. You have to sensitively get them back on track and all that.
And how did your own boss motivate you back then when you still had him?
By making time for me and explaining things. He explained why he'd made a decision, advantages and disadvantages, what options he had considered, and that he had included mine. He talked to me and he was amazing. He spent a lot of time with me and I tried to give back to him somehow. I always tried to meet the targets so he wouldn't have problems, so he could have peace of mind. I didn't know exactly how much money I would earn. It didn't matter too much. I just wanted to pay him back somehow. That was my motivation for years.
It's all about communication again?
I think so. But not for everyone.
Right.
If someone steals stuff from the warehouse and screws everything up, you won't be able to motivate them with a conversation.
That's clear, but for normal people who go to work, it's about communication, about individual communication.
I know a woman who did terrible things. She joined a very strict company. They monitor everything, check everything. They're tough on everyone. She's been there for years and she's happy. She needs this and she's very happy. They come to her and check everything. She really likes it. You get it? I couldn't work there for 1 second. This is really very individual. We all need something. That's right. She's the manager there and she's very successful, very smart.
Now we go back to the fact that the manager has to create a team that fits them, a team they understand.
Absolutely. If you lead in a very hard-edged way, over time you'll end up building a team of people who are comfortable with that. Some people genuinely seek it out. They're drawn to it. Really. And if you've got an open, happy company, you need people there who are cheerful, who are fun, and who are adults. They hate control. But on the other hand, you don't have to control them because they work because they want to. It's very different, in fact, and that's why you have to create a group of people you get along with, but very often it's just not possible. You might get a fixed team, you can't change it completely, it's not really fun. I think that most of the time you have about 20% of the team motivated, 60% who are normal enough that they'll work, and the last 20% are completely down, and maybe you can't do anything about it because you don't even know about it. You don't know what caused it. It's hard.
We watched a video on YouTube from 10 years ago. It's a Palatinum video about motivation. And in it, some people were called minimalists and self-driven people were also described.
Yes, it's a good concept.
What do you mean by minimalists and self-driven people? Because it was on the topic of motivation, how to motivate minimalists and self-driven people. In order to discuss these two groups, let's explain that some people are minimalists and some are self-driven.
Let me explain. This concept was invented by Ivo Mojny, who was a professor of sociology at the Faculty of Sociology in Brno, which he actually opened. A wonderful guy. Unfortunately, he passed away, and he wrote a lot of great books. He says that some people are self-driven. They go to school and learn, go to lectures, find out and figure things out. And there are minimalists who want to have a diploma and pass exams without studying. They try to get through somehow. Our education system produces minimalists. Some kids are fine with a medium score, others even lower, and they simply try to meet some criteria, all based on the idea of spending minimum effort. These people go to work, earn a salary, and try to go to as few meetings as possible to see how long the company puts up with it. They live their lives like this. You lead them by means of strict control. You check their activities, portfolio, CRM, not doing it. Then you take money away from them. Still not doing it? You fire them, nothing else you can do. And some are self-driven. They do things because they like it, they enjoy it, it gives them energy. You don't have to motivate them, you just point them in the right direction and notice things that they might have overlooked. But these are pleasant people. Not mums. When mums have a baby, look at them. I've yet to see a minimalist mum. They're self-driven women. Each one loves, cares for, and cherishes the baby. Have you ever heard of a minimalist mum? Nonsense, right? So being self-driven is natural. Many people go only to work for the money, do the minimum, but they don't really enjoy their life. I always ask, why don't you go somewhere you like? Life is short, click, and you're 50 before you know it, and you're going to spend it pretending? That's weird, but that's how we are sometimes. I was approached by 2 Chinese students who worked for me for about a month or 2 on an internship. They asked me 2 really interesting questions. Why don't people smile when they're on public transport? I looked around and it's true. On public transport, people rarely smile. And secondly, they asked why we go to university, just to graduate. Why don't you choose one where you can learn things properly? We really can't understand this. Well, me neither.
That's interesting.
Doesn't happen everywhere. Even professors say that in some environments, students come to a lecture and everyone has studied the books, seen all the videos. They just have questions ready for the professors. Here, you go to a lecture and you're alone. No one else is there. That's culture. That's the difference. They couldn't understand it. They say you go to university to learn something. I admit it sounds logical. I accept it. But these are minimalists and self-driven people. A while ago, minimalists were in fashion. A movement of minimalism. It was a kind of response to consumer society, quite a logical reaction. It calmed down a bit. That was around 2010. There's a wonderful documentary about minimalism on Netflix. It's an interesting movement. I don't think it's entirely bad, but it doesn't pay off at work, I guess.
Pavel, a quote, "We help those who can't do it, and those who don't want to, let them go."
I've read that.
Does it have much to do with motivation?
I guess the quote means that any motivation comes from, it's not something your boss will add to water like tea. You have to be motivated yourself. Don't demotivate people. Don't let them lose the spirit for life. They came motivated. Kids go to first grade and are excited. They look forward to it. They can't sleep. Have you seen an enthusiastic 3rd grader? That's exactly what I mean.
Is it true that the main job of a manager is to not take motivation away?
Sure, it is so. Through changes that are poorly communicated, or through inappropriate behavior, or through Poor results and people not getting bonuses. Don't take motivation away. People are usually motivated, at least on a neutral level, so that they come in and do their job.
I realized that we were all excited about starting a new job, and a year later we weren't so excited.
You young people are enthusiastic. When you're an adult at my age, you go there normally. Who would go to work excited after 30 years? Checking bills for cooperative housing? It's weird. You just go to work, it's totally normal, you're fine. No one can take that away from you, but a team can do that too. Maybe there's someone in the team that can break it down. There can be difficult times. During COVID, people were afraid. We didn't know what was coming next. As a leader, you have to calm people down. External decisions created additional pressure on everybody. During long periods of uncertainty, external pressure strongly increases, and that's not easy. We managers had a hard time. Long-term stress is widely known to have serious negative effects on people's health. Because fear produces stress and people are afraid. And you as boss, calm things down, balance it. You have to put everything back in order to make it work again. For instance, being a hospital manager in the last few years, I take my hat off to them. It was the toughest place on earth. Doctors were under huge pressure, and you have to motivate them and keep them going. I have deep respect for hospital directors.
There must be great people in these positions.
I'm certain there are.
Not everyone would manage.
They have to be mentally strong. And get energy from somewhere. Employees swearing at you from morning to night isn't exactly nice either. You don't want that. They still stayed there. Interesting.
Do you have any other questions, Mira?
I would like to know where a manager gets his or her motivation from, because we said in the last episode of the podcast that energy flows from top to bottom, and basically it is also a form of motivation. It gets passed on, poured on the employees. I would like to know where a manager gets his or her motivation from, or the energy, so that they can pass it on to me again as a member of their team at work. Where does the motivation actually come from?
Firstly, in a 30-year career, you accept that you'll enjoy 7 years and 4 or 5 you won't. You have bad days and times when you don't enjoy it because it's the same thing over and over again, or things are crazy politically right now. There are difficult years and you have to deal with it. During your career, you have 7 peaks where you really enjoy it and 7 troughs where you don't enjoy it and you'd rather run away. Deal with it somehow and wait out the low points. And secondly, you should have your boss. But it doesn't usually work like that. In a large company, your boss won't motivate you much. It works in some places, but not in others. Top managers are usually very weak in one-to-ones in terms of motivation. They're just big technocrats. To keep the peace, they don't motivate people. That's why you also see a male triathlon for managers around the age of 45, 50, or sometimes even 35. At some point, natural limits slow people down. A triathlon means that the Achilles ruptures while playing squash, the knee ruptures, also usually during squash, or your back gets put out somewhere. It stops you for half a year. Your body says no. You also see that the manager a year of stress gives the manager an extra kilo. They immediately put on weight. Stressed managers are often 10 kilos overweight. That's the first thing you see. And then in time, 10 years later, they disengage. They sit up on the bed and say, that's enough. They remain disengaged for a year or two. They need someone who motivates and supports them. And if you don't have a good boss, you have to find a professional. That's what coaches and consultants are for, or friends or someone from another company, even the director. And what you chat about with them is called cafe therapy. You go out for a beer once a month and say it's no good. When I go to Turkey on holiday, there's a hotel owner who has 14 hotels worth billions. We are chatting and I say, COVID cost us business worth 20 million crowns. And he looks at me and says, I lost 200 million euros. What else do you have on your list?
And this immediately reduces the problem for me.
Sometimes it's important to hear that someone is worse off than you. We need to hear it. Find a coach who meets you once a month and tells you what you wanted to achieve, what you've achieved, what you've done well, what was stupid. You'll talk and feel better. It's a very important service. You get energy there, the meaning.
So either you find a professional coach or you find someone in a circle of like-minded people who are probably in the same position.
There are different methods. Some people use books, read a lot. Some people get energy from sports, like once a month they have a long weekend and go cycling. Some crazy race like 4,000 or even 10,000 meters uphill in a day.
And some dig a hole up to 20 meters deep.
The way are different, but you need to get energy from somewhere. I'd like to talk to someone once a month, but I don't know who. My way of dealing with it is that every month I read a bunch of good books, a pile of books, and I always find something interesting there. I'm a bookworm. 5 books a week is a lot.
Are you reading that much now?
All my life.
5 books a week?
Yes, I do. I do.
Me, not even one, for example.
On average, we're both fine, right?
You just motivated me to read.
You have completely different options. You have podcasts, videos, and everything. These weren't around then, so we read. But also, in biographies, newspapers, articles, there are lots of interesting things. You learn parameters, compare yourself with others, and see what projects they're doing. That's very motivating. I keep telling banks to record podcasts about what projects are so interesting that they them, because we learn by copying. Tell us, you keep it secret. We don't want to know the name of the company, but tell us about the project.
I'm very interested in what banks do.
Everybody is. Everybody. It's very interesting and motivating. You think, I could do that too. That's interesting. I could try that. You're motivated. We don't need much. But you can't stay locked up in your team, in your problems. It's not the right place to find motivation.
To finish the episode, I just have one last question. Is there any difference between sources of motivation when a manager motivates us or when a leader motivates us?
Yes, sure. There are many opinions on this. I'm of the opinion that the leader is a senior manager at a time when no one knows which way to go. Yes? COVID was really a time for leaders. Nobody knew where it came from, what it would mean, how to deal with it. Just a big unknown. That required a leader. They have a special talent for being able to sniff out the right direction and say, we go this way. Some leaders choose unconventional paths when facing unprecedented uncertainty, when familiar approaches no longer work. And it worked. He had the courage to go in the completely opposite direction. A manager is a person who, when you have a path, organizes it the best. Long ago, the nobleman always had an administrator of the estate. The estate administrator was a manager. The nobleman was the leader. When there was a battle, he fought, got more land, and there was peace again for 200 years, and the administrators looked after the property. They can't live without each other. And there's talent A and talent B, but sometimes a company just needs a leader who will set the direction. There are years when a company doesn't need a leader. It's up to the managers, then the market changes. Some new technology comes along and suddenly nobody knows what to do. And a leader comes in again.
So now is the age of leaders because AI is coming.
It's possible, yes. Take a look at Apple. Since the leader left, there's a manager, and what have they invented that's new? Nothing. They paint the icons green and sell it again, but we don't see any progress. From that, it's easy to estimate that the shares may grow in volume, but otherwise not much of interest. If a company has innovations and the staff are complaining about changes, then a leader is probably sitting right there. And that's when I would buy shares. When a leader has joined and something new starts to happen, they'll go up. Managers are like harvesters who mine what's there. A leader is more of a designer. They design something unexpected.
I understand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a nice weekend.